Why should I care? I live in Bradley Stoke, which actually is outside the city boundary. But I believe that a mayor will be a champion for the whole city region. So I think Bradley Stoke, if you live in Bradley Stoke, if you go abroad, where do you say you live? You say you live in Bristol. This is all about Bristol and the wider region. And I think that Bristol needs a champion in London, it needs a champion in Europe, it needs a champion in the rest of the world. It needs to be really visible in the world in a way that some other great European cities are, like Manchester and Barcelona. And we don't have that champion at the moment. And a mayor elected by the whole city will be that champion and will be recognised by everybody as such. So I think it's vitally important. At the moment we have a relatively invisible leadership. Well, if an elected mayor says they will deliver an arena, for instance, then an arena has to get delivered, otherwise they won't get elected next time. So there is much more accountability, and I think that and much more visibility. People will know who is responsible. They'll know who's responsible for the costs of things. They will know who's responsible for the delivery of services. They will know who's responsible for delivering the major projects. And they will judge them at the end of their 4-year term as to whether they have delivered or not. So that is much clearer than a current system where we get changes every year or so, we get constant elections, we have party political bickering, playing games. This will get rid of that. A mayor can rise above all that and I believe can deliver good projects much more successfully. Well, I'd like to just say that Bristol may be on the world stage if you're looking for Bristol, but it's not often on the world stage when you're looking from outside. I'm often having to explain about Bristol. If you're from Manchester or Barcelona, you don't have to explain where you're from. Maybe that's partly to do with the better football teams, I don't know. But I think it's also to do with the provenance that Bristol is given by its leadership across the world. And I think we have a great relatively small city compared with some, but it is one of the best places in the world. But I think that's a secret that's too well kept, and we should not be shy about beating the drum for Bristol, which a mayor can do. Well, the funny thing is, we've had a couple of clowns both competing to be Mayor of London, and even with those two, we have Londoners by 70% approving the mayoral system. 70% of Londoners want to continue with the system they've got. So they're prepared to take the risk of having a mayoral system, even though you don't always get the people that you might want. Well, I think it's up to a mayor to claim greater powers. I mean, I've talked to the city minister, Greg Clark, about this, and said that on November the 16th, if I was elected mayor, because the mayoral elections would be on November the 15th, I'd be banging on his door asking to review the way Bristol is governed, to look for greater resources and greater powers, to look for greater cooperation with the outlying districts. I think it's really important that you have a mayor who's able to bring people together of all parties and none, bring people together from different districts, because we should all be fighting the same fight for our corner, and that's our little corner of the southwest of England, rather than just be fighting fights for our tight boundaries. No, I think a mayor's got to seek the support of the council, but major decisions can be taken without having to necessarily get a majority agreement from all councillors. Councillors will be there to keep a mayor in check to a certain extent, and I think that's absolutely right. But the mayor will lead from the front. The mayor will have to take councillors with them to a certain extent. But it's undoubtedly true that cities that have mayors do better in the world than those that don't.